Hello and welcome back to the third episode of the Fantasy Brothers podcast. I'm Austin Thomas.
And I'm Connor Thomas.
And this week we'll be discussing the MetLife Massacre, Justin Herbert and Tyrod Taylor, and our breakouts and picks for the week. So stay tuned, make sure to subscribe if you aren't already, leave a like if you enjoy the video, and comment if you have any questions that you want us to answer in next week's Q&A session. Yep. So, let's get right on into it with new news. New news from this week in football. So, first off, we have the sad news of Gale Sayers, the running back, Hall of Fame running back from the Bears, has died. It is a very sad moment for the Bears. He died at 77, I believe, so he lived a long life, which is always nice to hear. But let's get on into some more uplifting things. First off...
Get really uplifting.
Well, maybe not, but Justin Herbert had a great game last week. Justin Herbert coming in for the injured Tyrod Taylor, throws for over 300 yards. It's nice to see a rookie QB doing great stuff like that. And
especially against the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs of all teams, they were without Charvarius Ward, which made it a little bit easier, but still, they don't have an easy defense, per se. So it was very interesting to see how Justin Herbert performed last week.
Yep.
So now on into contract extensions. We had Tarek Cohen sign a 3-year, $28 million extension with the Bears. Now that kind of interested me because they still haven't locked up Allen Robinson. And he had mentioned that he really wanted to get that done. So do you think that this might affect how Allen Robinson perceives the Bears?
Probably. I mean, he's probably he's probably thinking he's getting disrespected. But yeah, I think Tariq Cohen. Well, how much is that? That's like right under. How much is that per year?
$28 million per year is about $9.3 mil per year.
Yeah, he does not. I don't think he is worth that.
Tarek Cohen, I don't think is worth $9 mil per year either, but it's what they gave him.
Yep.
Maybe they're expecting David Montgomery to leave or something. I don't know why you'd be paying your running backs that much, but it's the Bears we're talking about, so you never know. All right, and now on into our next contract extension. Robert Woods and the Rams agreed to a 4-year, $65 million extension for averaging about $16 million per year.
I think he deserves that.
Coming off after the Cooper Kupp extension, let's put that out there.
Still, the cap space.
So, the Rams basically said, screw our cap space, we want to keep everyone that we can. They're going to be in a bad situation in a couple years, as we mentioned in the last episode, so... It's nice that Robert Woods got that money, though. He's probably pretty happy about that and glad that he gets to stick around with that team. So that is very nice for him. Now let's get on into our next thing, the MetLife Massacre. Many of you probably heard about the Niners versus the Jets. The Niners were complaining that the field was not safe. And what would you expect to happen? But 5 players, big name players, came down with injuries from the Niners. Terrible luck, but big news, made headlines. They're thinking about possibly looking into it. The NFLPA is looking into the conditions of the field to make sure it's safe for players to play on.
They also
very
have
interesting.
To play there this week, though, also.
Oh, yeah.
Because they play against the Giants. So...
It's tough, and it's a very tough scene for anybody that plays there or anybody that got injured. So it was a lot of injuries this week, but we'll get on into that in our next section. So let's go on into our best guesses and worst guesses of last week. So my personal best guess was Chris Herndon. I said he was going to bust, and what would you know, he had 1 reception for 5 yards. Was I right or was I right?
And my best prediction, I said Jonnu Smith was going to do good. He got 4 receptions for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think that's really good. 2 touchdowns mainly carried him, but
Some big plays there
Yeah.
from Jonnu. Kept him on the nice side of that breakout list. Then for our worst guesses, I had Emmanuel Sanders. Without Michael Thomas on that Saints team and going up against the Las Vegas defense, I thought for sure that Emmanuel Sanders was going to break out and be great, but he... 3 targets, 1 reception, only for 18 yards. That was not the game we were expecting from him or from the Saints. Losing that game,
34 to 24.
34 to 24. It was not good for the Saints. Drew Brees did not look like a good QB that night. That's for certain. And Emmanuel Sanders certainly showed it in his stat line.
Yep. For my worst guess, I got Nyheim Hines. He only had 1 reception for 4 yards. Jonathan Taylor took the carries and the receptions. I was expecting him to get more receptions mainly, but he didn't. He only got 1 reception for only 4 yards. That was not good.
All right, and it's always good to look back at our past mistakes just so that we know where we messed up and how it happened. Still, I don't know how Sanders messed up that bad, except for the fact that Drew Brees was not good. That's the only thing I can think of, but I guess that's just the way fantasy football is. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and that's what you got to work on. So talking about losing, let's get on into our injury situations.
Injury situations around the league.
So, first off, we have Julio Jones coming down with a hamstring injury in practice. He was held out and was a non-participant in practice. And personally, I think he's still going to play, but you never know.
He said he was feeling fine. Well, he said he was going to try to play through it, and I believe that. He's a tough player, and yeah, I think he's going to do good.
Julio likes to play through a lot of injuries. He's a very tough guy to take out. And now on into our plethora of big-name injuries. So, DJ Shark was downgraded to out for tonight's game, Jaguars versus Miami Dolphins. DJ Shark, big part of that Jaguars offense that has been very surprising this year. And it's a big blow for Gardner Minshew and the other receiving corps.
Target.
So that is not looking good. Hopefully DJ will be back next week, but time will only tell.
Yep.
So into the next injury, we have Drew Lock, one of my favorite guys for this season, comes down with an AC joint injury.
They signed Blake Bortles, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they did sign Blake Bortles. Forgot to mention that in the new news. And Blake Bortles coming in to be the backup to Jeff Driscoll, but maybe a little bit more than a backup if Jeff Driscoll can't perform.
Yep.
So now on to our next, probably the biggest, if maybe second or third biggest, probably third biggest I'd say, injury of the week. And you'd be surprised to hear this is only the third biggest injury. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey, ankle injury, out 4 to 6 weeks. That is super tough on the Panthers, who are having a tough time as it is. Losing their best player.
Their whole offense, basically.
Yeah.
Captures the whole
basically.
offense.
DJ Moore is part of it. He just basically pulls away defenders, though.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, he got 120 yards last game. Just
okay.
So he did good.
Pretty good. But, yeah, it's tough sight for anybody that owns McCaffrey because he was the number 1 pick in many fantasy drafts.
Mainly.
And then on to our probably the second biggest injury of the week.
Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Nick Bosa, out for the season with an ACL injury in the MetLife Massacre. One of the many casualties of MetLife. Nick Bosa comes down with an ACL tear. One of the best defensive players of the year. I think I had him as winning Defensive Player of the Year in the first episode. We mentioned that, and comes down with this ACL tear, obviously not going to happen anymore.
Yep, I don't think that's happening.
So, looks like I'm wrong on that. But there's nothing really you can do about that, and it's just a disappointing sight to see. And now on to the biggest injury of Week 3. If you thought those two were big, be ready to hear Saquon Barkley out for the season with an ACL tear. Another ACL tear. There were a lot of ACLs torn this week.
Yep.
Saquon was one of those casualties, and sadly he will be out for the season. The number 2 pick in most fantasy drafts.
Yeah.
Number 1 and number 2 picks
Both in.
out, gone. If you had the number 3 pick, you're like, woo, woo, Zeke, baby.
Yeah, mainly Zeke.
So
I had him as Offensive Player of the Year, Saquon, so that's tough. And I had him in a lot of leagues, actually, so it's tough. Tough sight.
Tough sight for anybody with a top pick this week. And now going on to the next one, another ACL tear, but this one, Denver, Cortland Sutton, out for the season. That is one of Drew Lock's favorite targets. When he does come back, he's not going to be as good. Not as good as I projected. So for one of my breakout guys, Drew Lock is not going to do as good, let alone being injured for these weeks. Cortland Sutton out for this long is out for the season. It's going to be tough on that Denver offense, which I had projected to be so good. I had projected the Broncos possibly making the playoffs. Very close, if not in.
I had them in the playoffs.
But with Von Miller being lost, Cortland Sutton being lost, and Drew Lock being lost for this amount of time, it's going to be very tough for that Broncos team to make the playoffs.
But Jerry Jeudy, hopefully he steps up to his level of play.
Yes, Jerry Jeudy looking to become the top receiver in Denver. Hopefully, Jeff Driscoll and him will have a good connection until Drew Lock comes back, and then Drew Lock can come back and throw to him and KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler, very good opportunity for him now that Sutton is out. Now on to another big name guy, Devontae Adams, a top 10 pick in most leagues. He had a hamstring injury in last game against the Lions and wasn't able to return after the fourth quarter. And he's questionable to come into the game this week.
He looked like he was fine out there, but I think they just held him out just because they were up by so much.
They were up by so much, and
20.
they didn't want to risk injuring it any further. Hopefully he'll be fine for the game on Sunday. But again, we'll have to wait and see. That'll be one to watch. Now on to the next injury, Jimmy Garoppolo. Another one from the MetLife Massacre. He is out. He is going to be replaced by Nick Mullins in that 49ers offense. And that is a big blow to the Niners. One of the best-looking quarterbacks in the league. Probably the best-looking. But that is totally up to you to decide. Kirk Cousins is pretty hot, too.
Oh. No.
I'm kidding. That's a personal preference. But whatever.
No.
So now, let's get on into the next MetLife Massacre loss. Raheem Mostert, MCL tear, and he is out for the next few weeks. That is a big blow for that big-time running offense. Both losing their QB, their best defensive end in the National Football League, and their top running back, along with their second running back in Tevin Coleman, who also got injured in the MetLife Massacre. Again, lots of people being injured in that game. Sad to see. And who's the starting running back for the 49ers
Jerick McKinnon now.
Jerick McKinnon looking to take the lead back in 49ers offense. So be watching out for him. Now on to the Dolphins with Byron Jones. Groin injury is out for tonight's game versus the Jaguars. That is a very tough blow for their defense, which was looking up. It has some good corners, but losing Byron Jones, their top corner, their top prize in free agency, is going to be tough for however long he's out. And now on to the next one, probably the most disappointing one that I'd say. Not necessarily that it hurt the team the most, but just it's a terrible scene for Tyrod Taylor. He was looking to still be the starting quarterback, and at the beginning of the game, he had chest pains, and he was taken out for Justin Herbert. They tried to put some numbing or painkillers into his chest, and one of the doctors accidentally punctured his lung. Sounds so painful whenever you hear that. and he is doubtful for the week. And if he does come back, it's probably going to be after Justin Herbert has made a name for himself, which means that I don't think Tyrod Taylor's getting his job back.
I think he will.
Which makes it much more of a disappointing injury for me. I don't think he is because...
I think when he comes back, I feel like he will be the starter for that week. Unless Justin Herbert, goes off, seriously, does insane. I don't think he's going to do that insane. And I think Tyrod Taylor's going to come back and provide decent. But then after that, I think he might play Justin Herbert. I feel like he will. But I still think once Tyrod Taylor gets healthy, I think he's going to play.
See, I don't think Tyrod Taylor is going to be healthy until week 4 or 5. Probably week 5 is what I meant to say. If he's not healthy to week 5, that gives Herbert 3 weeks to show himself that he deserves to be starting QB. And
I think he will show that.
I think he will, which is where we disagree on. I think Herbert is going to do well. I don't think he's going to do crazy, but I think doing well is enough for a 6th overall pick that is obviously the future of that franchise. So now on to the last injury of the week. Paris Campbell has a knee injury, is out for week 3, and that is going to affect that Colts offense that has not been great, but it's going to be a blow for Phillip Rivers and that offense. And Michael Pittman, though, some guy that's looking to stand up. Same with Zach Pascal.
And still T.Y. Hilton.
And T.Y. Hilton.
So they still got good, decent...
They still have decent wideouts, but
yeah.
that is something that we'll have to see. All right, and now that we're done with our injury situations, now on to our breakouts of the week.
Breakout Players of the Week.
Okay. So, for my first breakout of the week, at QB, I have Gardner Minshew versus Miami. That Miami defense, losing Byron Jones, is going to be a huge blow for that Dolphins team and the corners on that team. Gardner Minshew is going to be able to throw to his guys. Yes, DJ Shark is out, but he's been showing that he's able to throw to Keelan Cole a lot. And he's also got Laviska Shenault to throw to. They also have James Robinson, who can carry the ball. He can throw to Chris Thompson. That is a very nice situation for Minshew that he's going up against that Dolphins team. And with what they've been showing over these past few weeks, heck, last week they did great. And that was crazy how good they did, as I had him as one of my disappointment players of the week.
I had the Titans defense.
So yeah, going up against that Titans team that has a good defense, he was still able to torch them.
Sort of, dude.
Going up against this Miami team without Byron Jones, it's going to be a nice matchup for Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I got, as my breakout, I got Mitch Trubisky. He's had him the past 2 weeks, but this time I have him. He's playing against one of the best matchups in the Falcons. They let up probably the most points against as quarterbacks. They have a terrible defense, one of the worst defenses. They let up 40 points against the Cowboys, who do have a really good. Dak went off, and then the week before that, the Falcons were playing
Seahawks, right?
Seahawks, who had Russell Wilson. But yeah, the defense has been torched all season long. I think Mitch Trubisky is going to do well.
See, I would say Mitch Trubisky. It's just the Falcons' defense has been going up against 2 great offenses.
Yeah.
So I don't feel comfortable doing that with a defense that I thought was going to be better than most people expected. But let's go on into our wide receivers of the week. So, my number 1 wide receiver of the week is Keelan Cole versus the Dolphins again. I think that Gardner Minshew, Keelan Cole connection is going to be very good, and Keelan Cole is going to go off, especially without DJ Shark there.
I got CeeDee Lamb versus Seahawks. The Seahawks have been... They've let up a lot of points against wide receivers. They played against the Falcons, who had Julio and Calvin Ridley, who were good. Then they played against the Patriots, right? Yeah. Who had Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry even did good. The Cowboys have 3 great wide receivers. They're not going to be able to cover all of them at once. I think CeeDee Lamb will be really good this week.
All right. Then for my second wide receiver, I had Allen Bizard because he is going up against the Saints. But with Devontae Adams looking to miss some time, Aaron Rodgers and his firearm of a cannon that he has for that arm up there, he's going to be able to throw to Allen Lazard, and it is going to be a great connection there. Lazard is going to go off this week against a good defense in the Saints, yes. Aaron Rodgers has shown he doesn't care.
I got Corey Davis versus the Vikings. Vikings have a terrible secondary, and with A.J. Brown out for this week, I think. I'm pretty sure he's out, right?
Yeah, I
A.J. Brown.
think so.
I'm pretty sure he's out for a week. And Corey Davis, I think, will step up and provide for Tennessee.
All right. Now on to our running backs. My running back number 1, Antonio Gibbs-Wynn versus the Cleveland Browns. I've had Antonio Gibson on here before. I believe it was last week. And he showed that he got a touchdown. He got most of the carries and about 50 yards. It was nice for him and nice for the Washington team to be able to do that. And Gibson is going to still get more carries, I believe, this week. And going up against the Cleveland Browns team that hasn't been great, except they were playing the Cincinnati team that didn't have an offensive line. Mm-hmm. So, then again, Washington doesn't have the best either. But I wouldn't say it's as bad as Cincinnati's. Mm-hmm. Let's get that out there.
I got James Robinson versus the Dolphins. I feel like this will be a high-scoring game. High-scoring games always help the running back is always going to do good, mainly. Dolphins have a terrible defense, especially with Byron Jones out. I think James Robinson will just run the ball and do good.
And let me mention, I really thought about putting James Robinson here, but I could not turn a blind eye to Jonathan Taylor versus the New York Jets. That Jets team, not good in any way. The only thing that could stop Jonathan Taylor is MetLife Field and another massacre. Though I believe that they aren't at. I believe that they're at the Colts.
Yeah.
The Colts are at home.
Right.
So, if the Colts are at home, which I'm expecting, Jonathan Taylor should be fine, and he will go off against the Jets that don't have a defense. He's going to get most of the carries like he did last week. He's going to still be in the catching game. He's going to get touchdowns. He's going to be involved.
Yep.
Jonathan Taylor had to be my second running back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're at Colts.
Okay.
The Colts are at home. Okay, for my second running backs, I got Joshua Kelly. Last time he did decent, but this week he's playing against the Panthers now. He has competition for Eckler, but Eckler hasn't been doing that well, and Joshua Kelly has gotten about the same. And I think, especially against the Panthers, I think Joshua Kelly's going to do amazing.
Again, Joshua Kelly was another guy I was thinking of also. But, again, decided on Jonathan Taylor and Antonio Gibson. All right, and now on to our tight end breakouts of the week. I had Gesicki.
We both have him.
Versus the Jaguars. We both have him because the Jaguars.
They let up a lot against the tight end last week. Jonnu Smith played against Jacksonville, who had 84 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now Mike Gesicki is playing the Jaguars.
Mike Gesicki went up against the Bills last week and still went off.
Yeah.
So you can't turn a blind eye to that, especially with them going up against the Jaguars. All right, so now on to our disappointment players.
Disappointment players.
So, at QB, for me, I had Kirk Cousins versus Tennessee. He proved that he cannot do anything against good defenses. Tennessee is a good defense. Just like the Colts were,
really.
He's going to be bad.
I feel like you overrate defenses.
Maybe.
Okay, I think Josh Allen is going to do bad. He's been doing really good, but he's also been playing against the Jets and the Dolphins, right? Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. He's playing against the Rams this time, who have Jalen Ramsey, and I think the pressure from Aaron Donald will pressure him more, and I feel like he's going to overthrow a lot of passes. So that's why.
All right. And now on to our running backs. So for me, I had Melvin Gordon versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, that was last week.
Never mind.
Good job.
I had David Johnson versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sorry about that. I just like this Pittsburgh defense so much against the run. I had to go David Johnson, who hasn't been bad. In week 1 he wasn't bad, but last week he went up against the Baltimore Ravens, so you can't complain about that. This week they're going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can't complain about that. So yeah, David Johnson's going to be bad this week.
Mm-hmm. I got Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus the Ravens, playing against the Ravens, who have completely shut down the run game. I think the Ravens defense is just gonna outperform the Chiefs offense. That's what I was gonna say.
Although I agree that probably Clyde isn't going to do well, you can never count out Mahomes and the Chiefs, and maybe he'll get Clyde involved. So now on to our tight end disappointment of the week. I had Chris Herndon again going up against the Indianapolis Colts. He put up a dud last week with only 1 reception. Again, it's basically the same thing. They're going up against a good defense, and he's not going to be able to do anything.
Mm-hmm. I got Darren Waller. Yikes. I got Darren Waller versus the Patriots. The Patriots have an amazing secondary. Well, we saw them play against Seahawks, but I feel like they will pick it up this game, the Patriots secondary, and I feel like Darren Waller is going to get shut down. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Receivers.
So, we skipped the wide receivers. Sorry about that. So, now back to the wide receivers. For my wide receiver disappointment, I had Cooper Kupp versus the Buffalo Bills. And although the Buffalo Bills did allow a lot from the Dolphins last week, it was Mike Gesicki that really, I thought, carried them. Yeah. Devontae Parker did well, but he didn't do great. And I think it's going to be a similar thing, especially because they have Robert Woods. They're going to be able to throw more to Robert Woods. Cooper Kupp is not going to have the best game. I'm not saying he won't produce, but he definitely won't have the best game, and I think he's going to be the disappointment wide receiver of the week.
I got Stephon Diggs. Like I said with Josh Allen, I feel like Josh Allen's going to get pressured a lot by Aaron Donald's going to overthrow a lot, plus Stephon Diggs is going to be going against Jalen Ramsey, so that's always tough.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so now that we're done with our teams of the week, let's get on into our weekly matchups. So for tonight's game, Thursday night at 7 o'clock, we have Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have an possibly upset here, and the Jacksonville Jaguars winning this. Gardner Minshew and Keelan Cole is going to carry that team, and probably along with James Robinson, they're going to go and take out that Miami Dolphins team.
Yeah, I also think that. I feel like it will be a decently high-scoring game. I just feel like Jacksonville's offense is going to outperform Miami's offense.
All right, and now on to our Sunday games. Green Bay Packers versus the New Orleans Saints. I gotta have the Green Bay Packers winning it. The New Orleans Saints have not looked good over the past 2 weeks, and Drew Brees has showed his age where Aaron Rodgers has not. Now, then again, the Packers were going up against bad defenses, so you never know. I don't know. Minnesota isn't that bad of a defense.
Well, their secondary was bad.
But, so, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers here.
Yeah, I also got the Green Bay Packers. Their offense looked amazing. New Orleans' offense looked terrible, and they let up 34 versus the Raiders. And, yeah, I think Green Bay is just going to do well.
All right, and now on to the next matchup, the Chicago Bears versus the Atlanta Falcons. I actually have the Chicago Bears winning this one. The Chicago Bears have won their first 2 games, if you could say that, but It has not been pretty, though their defense has shown that they're still a good defense. And Atlanta has lost their first 2 games. Again, although going up against very good teams, they blew that lead as if it were the Super Bowl last week. The Falcons, I don't know how to explain that franchise other than what is going on.
Yeah, I got the Falcons also. I mean, not also. I got the Falcons this one, winning this. They're playing against Chicago, who has a decent... I feel like they have a good team, but I feel like Atlanta's offense is just amazing. They had 20 points. They scored 39 points last week with 0 turnovers. I feel like if they just got the onside recovery, they would have won that game. But no, people are stupid. But, yeah, I feel like their offense is just good.
All right, so let's get on into our next game. The Los Angeles Rams versus the Buffalo Bills. In this one, I have the Buffalo Bills winning. I would expect he has different, but the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen has shown that he is more than a running back. He can throw the ball deep. He's able to do that, and he's got the run game. And Stephon Diggs has shown that he has a connection with Josh Allen, along with John Brown. That's going to be an explosive offense, especially with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary in there. Going to be fine against the Rams' run defense outside of Aaron Donald. And the Rams have shown that they're okay. I haven't seen anything great from them, though.
Yeah, I actually have Buffalo. But I feel like this will be a very low-scoring game. Max, 15 points, to be honest. Yeah, I don't see either team's offense doing good, and I feel like it's going to be mainly field goals winning this game.
All right. Now let's get on into the next one, the Washington football team versus the Cleveland Browns. I have an upset here. This one is a true upset. I have the Washington football team winning this one. I think their defense is going to carry them this week against a Cleveland Browns team that only performed well last week because they were going up against Cincinnati. Now, Baker showed that he was good. He had the fire in him. I don't think it's going to be enough. They have a good team. They have a good O-line. I don't think it's going to be enough against this Washington team. It's an upset, I know, but sometimes you got to stick a leg out. You know, put yourself on one limb. Say, hey, I'm going with this. I'm going with the Washington football team winning it.
Yeah, I have the opposite. I have Cleveland winning this. I feel like their defense, Cleveland's defense, is going to be able to get past that offensive line, the terrible offensive line. Plus, I feel like the only good wide receiver on the Washington team is Terry McLaurin, and I feel like Denzel Ward is going to be able to shut him down. And the run game the Washington's run game isn't amazing either. So I feel like that offense is just going to be terrible. And I feel like the Cleveland's offense is going to just... I feel like they're going to Cleveland's offense is going to be able to throw the ball a lot and score a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
So now let's get on into our next game, the Tennessee Titans versus the Minnesota Vikings. I have the Titans winning this one. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill. They're going up against this Minnesota Vikings team, which has looked awful over the past few weeks. And I got to go with the not hot hand here in Tennessee.
Yeah, I also got Tennessee. Minnesota's just looked terrible with last week. I feel like they're just going to have low morale, and I feel like Tennessee is just going to be able to win.
All right, and on to this next one, the Raiders versus the Patriots. Now, the Raiders surprised everyone and beat the Saints last week in what has been probably the biggest upset this season. And the Raiders, maybe you want to choose them? No, I'm going with the Patriots. It's the Patriots with Cam Newton.
Yeah, I feel like Cam Newton's just going to be able to destroy the Raiders' defense. It's that simple.
Yeah. All right, so now let's go on into our next one. The San Francisco 49ers versus the New York Giants at MetLife.
Should be obvious.
Again.
Actually.
And even with all the injuries to the Niners, the Giants lost their only player in Saquon Barkley.
And even Sterling Shepard.
Oh, is Sterling Shepard out too?
He's on the IR, yeah.
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard on the IR, and yeah, this is going to be going to the Niners, who still at least have a defense.
Yeah. I got the Niners also. I feel like their defense is still good. Even with all the injuries, I feel like they're still decent enough to beat the Giants.
All right, now let's get on into the next one, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles have not looked the best. You can't take them out of consideration. Cincinnati Bengals haven't looked the best either, but Joe Burrow has showed that he is still a good QB, just with a bad O-line. And I think that the Cincinnati Bengals will come out with another upset victory, just like I said with the Washington football team earlier. I think Cincinnati wins this one against Philadelphia, and Joe Burrow shows that he is worth the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, I also got Cincinnati. I feel like Joe Burrow is going to be able to throw the ball, and I feel like Joe Mixon is going to actually pick it up this game and be able to actually perform.
Hopefully for Cincinnati fans.
Yep.
All right, now let's get on into the next game. The Houston Texans versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this one. The Steelers' defense, very good. The Houston offense is
Yeah.
and the Houston defense is non-existent. Pittsburgh offense has been pretty good recently. It's been pretty good. So I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh. Was better in both areas this season.
Yeah, I also got Pittsburgh. I feel like their defense is going to be able to shut down the Houston's run game, and I feel like Houston's going to miss Hopkins a lot this game.
They've missed Hopkins every game.
Yeah.
All right, so
though.
now let's get on to the next game, the New York Jets versus the Indianapolis Colts. I have the Colts winning this one simply because the Jets suck.
Yeah, I also do. Colts
All right.
are going to be able to run all over them.
And defend all over them.
Yeah.
So now let's get on into the next game, the Carolina Panthers versus the Los Angeles Chargers. This one, I had the Chargers winning. Chargers have they looked pretty good against the Kansas City Chiefs. Herbert showed that he was very well worth the 6th overall pick, at least in week 2, so hopefully he's able to keep that up and give some Chargers fans some hope after losing Tyrod Taylor. But Justin Herbert is their future. If he can show that he's also the now, that's great for those fans, and I think he's going to show that against this Carolina team, which hasn't been good on defense and is going to be good this season.
Yeah, I got the Chargers. Carolina lost their defense with Luke Kuechly, and like last year, and now they lost their whole offense with McCaffrey out. Yeah, I feel like they're not good in either category, offense or defense. I feel like the Chargers are just better, just the better team.
Yeah. All right, so now on into the next game, the Detroit Lions versus the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think there's really two ways around this. Detroit has sucked, and Arizona has been pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Show that they're able to throw to Hopkins and use the rest of those pieces that they have acquired.
And Kyler Murray can run.
Kyler Murray can run too. So, Cardinals here for me.
Yeah, I also got Cardinals. I feel like their offense is just too good.
All right, so that was a pretty easy pick. Now on into the next one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Denver Broncos. Earlier in the season, I might have said that the Broncos would win this.
Yeah,
After losing all of these players, though, I have to go with Tampa Bay here, who, even with Tom Brady not looking the best, they've got too many pieces to lose this game that Denver just simply doesn't have.
Yeah, Denver, I have the Bucks. Denver's lost Drew Lock, Cortland Sutton, and Von Miller. I feel like that's basically like most of their team, their best players. And yeah, I think Tampa Bay has too many pieces.
All right, and now on into our next game, second to last one, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Seattle Seahawks. I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this one. Both of them have gone up against the Atlanta Falcons. Both of them scored a lot against them. I think the Seattle Seahawks offense is just a bit better with Russell Wilson if he's able to throw, which I expect he will be. and both defenses I think are very similar. But I think it's going to be up to Russell Wilson or Dak Prescott who's going to win this game. I think Russell Wilson will pull out the win.
Yeah, I got Seattle just because Russell Wilson and Jamal Adams. I feel like Jamal Adams is a lot better, carries that defense, the secondary, and Dallas does not have the pieces in the secondary to be able to stop Seattle. I still think that Dallas is going to have an amazing pass, but I feel like Seattle's just going to have a better one.
And that'll be a very good game to watch if you're wondering what to watch. If you only were to watch one game on this week, I would advise you not to watch that game, but to watch this juggernaut of a game that is probably going to be one of the best of the season. Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, can you be more excited for a game than this one?
Yeah, are two of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league going against each other. I feel like it's going to be an amazing game. I actually have Baltimore winning this game. I feel like Lamar is going to be able to go off and run the ball, and I think Baltimore's defense is amazing. They're good in all areas. Secondary is amazing. Front 7 is amazing. I just think Baltimore is just going to be that better football team.
Now, for this game, the Baltimore Ravens have shown that they were great the first 2 games. The Chiefs kind of stumbling around in that last game against the Chargers, only barely winning in overtime. The Chiefs have a lot of pieces too, though. And I did not choose a winner for this game. On record, I am not going to choose a winner for this game. I think it's going to be too close. I will choose one. I do not want to stick to this, though. I will tell you, whatever I choose is going to be wrong, just because this is the way football is. So I am going to say the Chiefs here, because Patrick Mahomes, in pressure situations, he's going to be preparing. Tyreek Hill did not have the best game. He had a good catch in last game, but early on in the game, he had a couple drops. Did not help him. The Chiefs had a bunch of drops early on in the game. Did not help Mahomes out. I think that might change this week, and even though that Baltimore Ravens team is great, one of the best teams in the league, the Chiefs are also the other best team in the league. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs here.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, we have concluded all of our games. So now on into the Q&A section. Now, we actually did have a couple comments last week comparing players. One of these was for the tight end spot. We had Austin Hooper or Noah Fant. We did answer that question in the comment section last week about that specific week for week 2. For week 3, though, I will answer this question also. So, Hooper or Fant, we have Noah Fant on the Broncos going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Austin Hooper of the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Chicago Bears.
Washington. He's on the Cleveland Browns.
I keep mixing up that Hooper's not on the Falcons. Atlanta, so Austin Hooper is on the Cleveland Browns going up against the Washington football team. So, football team and Hooper or Fant versus Tampa Bay. I personally...
I got Fant. I feel like he's been doing amazing. He did good against Pittsburgh. I didn't think he was going to do good. He did amazing versus Pittsburgh. He got a touchdown and like a lot of yards. He got a touchdown, and I feel like Fant is just going to do better than Hooper. Along
with that, Hooper has not shown up in any of the games this season. No. Not shown to be a good target from Baker Mayfield. Noah Fant has been one of the favorite targets of both QBs. And he is one of the very few remaining pieces from that loaded offense.
Yeah.
And now on into the next comment question of last video. We have DK Metcalf or Emmanuel Sanders. We had said Emmanuel Sanders for week 2. Again, it was both of our breakout players, and he failed to do anything that game. This week, the New Orleans Saints are going up against the Green Bay Packers with Sanders. And DK Metcalf of the Seattle Seahawks is going up against Dallas. Simply because DK Metcalf is DK Metcalf and Dallas doesn't have the best secondary, I'm going up with DK Metcalf
Yeah.
this week?
Should be pretty obvious. DK Metcalf. He's been shown that he's matchup proof. He played against Stephon Gilmore, reigning Depoy. Yeah, I feel like DK roasted him all game, and DK is just too good.
All right, and with that, we are going to have to end this episode. If you watched this far, we thank you so much. And if you have any comments or questions that you want to throw in the comments, any feedback, we would so appreciate that. And if you haven't already, please drop a like for the video and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And if there's anything else that you can think of,
Nope.
all right, then we're going to be done for this episode. We will hopefully post the next episode next Wednesday. We're sorry about getting this episode out late. We had a bunch of problems yesterday, so had to wait another day to get this. But we're able to get it out, so thank you for sticking around, and we will see you next week. Peace!